The Nairobi evening buzzed with the hum of matatus and street vendors as Amara Ndungu, a 22-year-old law student, pushed through the crowded pavement toward her shared apartment, her heart alight with triumph. She'd just nailed her final moot court presentation at the University of Nairobi, her sharp arguments on land rights earning nods from the panel, the last hurdle before her degree. Still in her navy blazer and pencil skirt, her braids pulled into a neat bun, she imagined surprising Kofi, her fiancé, with the news, picturing his warm smile as they'd planned their wedding over steaming plates of nyama choma and cold tusker. Their engagement, sealed 6 months ago under a starlit acacia tree, felt like a promise of forever. Bridesmaids' dresses in coral, a venue booked by the Ngong Hills. But as she turned her key in the apartment door, the air shifted, heavy, with a stillness that pricked her skin. The living room was dim, curtains drawn, a half-empty bottle of Merlot on the coffee table catching the faint light. There, on the worn couch, sat Kofi, his arm draped around Zuri, Amara's best friend and maid of honor, her head nestled against his shoulder. Zuri wore Kofi's faded Arsenal jersey, the hem brushing her thighs, her bare legs tucked under her like she belonged there. Kofi's hand rested on her knee, casual, intimate, a gesture that sliced through Amara's chest. Her moot court file slipped slightly in her grip as Kofi's eyes met hers, widening in panic. "Amara," he stammered, untangling himself. "You're back early." Zuri straightened, tugging at the jersey, her voice small. "I didn't know you were coming." The words landed like a slap, confirming the betrayal in a single breath. Amara's throat tightened, her voice barely above a whisper. "I passed my presentation. I came to celebrate with you." Silence swallowed the room, Kofi's hands hovering uselessly, Zuri's gaze dropping to the floor. "It's not what it looks like," Kofi tried, but Amara cut him off, her voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. "It's exactly what it looks like. You didn't even try to hide it." Zuri shifted, murmuring, "It just happened." But Amara's laugh was sharp, bitter. "Just happened? While I was planning our wedding, you were stealing it." Her eyes locked on Kofi, the man she'd trusted with her future. "I gave you everything, my time, my dreams, my heart, and you gave it to her." Kofi opened his mouth, but no words came, his guilt a wall between them. Amara's gaze flicked to Zuri, her friend since first-year torts, now a stranger. "You were supposed to stand beside me at the altar, not take my place." The room felt suffocating, the air thick with their silence. Amara stepped back, her file clutched like a shield. "You're perfect for each other," she said, her voice breaking but resolute. "Because you're both liars." She turned, walking out into the humid night, the door clicking shut behind her. Her steps carried her aimlessly until she found herself at Gioni Haven, a jazz bar tucked in Westlands, its neon sign flickering like a beacon. Inside, the low hum of a saxophone wrapped around her as she slid onto a bar stool, ordering a virgin mojito she barely touched. The bar was alive, couples laughing, friends clinking glasses, but Amara felt like a ghost, her engagement ring glinting mockingly on her finger. She slipped it off, tucking it into her pocket, the metal cold against her skin. Her phone buzzed, with Kofi's name, but she silenced it, the betrayal replaying in her mind like a cruel loop. Around her the crowd blurred, their joy a stark contrast to the ache in her chest. She was alone, her plans for a future with Kofi unraveling, her trust in Zuri shattered. The bartender, a kind-eyed woman, slid a napkin her way, but Amara only nodded, unable to speak. Her fingers traced the rim of her glass, the mint leaves swirling like her thoughts. She'd never been to a bar alone, never imagined a night like this. Her victory tainted, her heart fractured. The music swelled, a mournful note that mirrored her soul, and she wondered how to piece herself back together when the people she loved most had torn her apart. The dim glow of Gioni Haven's neon sign cast a soft haze over Amara Ndungu as she sat alone at the bar, her untouched mojito sweating on the coaster, the jazz saxophone's wail, a faint echo of her unraveling heart. The betrayal of Kofi and Zuri still burned, a wound too fresh to name, and the bar's lively chatter felt like a world she no longer belonged to. Across the room, Jaden Okoth, a 25-year-old architect, was surrounded by friends toasting his last night in Nairobi before a career-defining move to Toronto. Their table was a mess of empty beer bottles, roasted peanuts, and laughter over old university pranks. But Jaden's smile was half-hearted, his mind already on the unknowns of his new life. His gaze drifted, landing on Amara, her pressed blazer, her puffy eyes, the way she gripped her glass like it was her only anchor. Something about her quiet devastation pulled him from his chair. "Be right back," he told his friends, ignoring their teasing shouts of, "Where you off to, man?" He approached her table, his steps cautious, his voice gentle. "Mind if I sit? You look like you could use some company." Amara glanced up, startled, her defenses sharp. "Do I know you?" Jaden shook his head, offering a small smile. "Just a guy who knows what it feels like to have a rough night." Her eyes searched his, finding no agenda, only a quiet sincerity. She shrugged, her voice flat. "Suit yourself." He slid onto the stool, ordering a sweet tea, and the bartender, sensing the mood, left them to their space. Silence hung briefly before Amara spoke, her words spilling like a dam breaking. "I caught my fiancé with my best friend tonight, hours after I aced my law presentation. We were supposed to get married in 3 months. Jaden's brows lifted, but he stayed quiet, letting her words fill the air. She told him about the coral dresses, the Nong Hills venue, the years she'd poured into Kofi, the trust she'd placed in Zuri. Her voice cracked when she admitted, "I thought I was building a future, but they were tearing it down behind my back." Jaden nodded, his eyes steady. "That's a heavy kind of hurt." He shared a piece of his own past, a girlfriend who left when his career ambitions pulled him away, a loss that still stung. The conversation flowed, raw and unfiltered, their stories weaving a fragile bridge between strangers. Amara's guard softened with each sip of her drink, the bar's warmth loosening the knot in her chest. Jaden's quiet humor, teasing her about her untouched mojito, drew a faint smile, her first in hours. As the clock neared midnight, the bar thinning out, Amara's pain took a reckless turn. "I don't want to feel this anymore," she said, her voice low, eyes locked on his. "Take me upstairs." Jaden froze, his tea halfway to his lips. The bar had a small boutique hotel above, its entrance discreet. "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice careful, searching her face. She nodded, her resolve brittle but firm. "I don't want to be the girl who waits anymore. No strings, no promises, just tonight." Jaden hesitated, his mind racing. He saw her pain, her need to reclaim something, but he also saw her vulnerability. "This isn't you talking," he said softly. "It's the hurt." Amara's eyes flashed with defiance. "It's me choosing to forget, even for one night." The bartender glanced their way, and Jaden paid the tab, his movements slow, giving her time to change her mind. She didn't. They climbed the narrow stairs to a small room, its walls adorned with faded art, the bed a simple frame under a woven throw. The night was quiet, not fueled by passion but by a shared need to escape. Her from betrayal, him from the weight of leaving everything familiar. It was tender, fleeting, a moment of solace rather than fire. As dawn crept through the curtains, Amara lay awake, Jaden's steady breathing beside her, and a wave of clarity hit. This wasn't her. This wasn't healing. She dressed silently, her blazer creased, her heart heavier than before, and slipped out, leaving no trace. Jaden stirred later, the bed cold, the room empty. He sat up, scanning for a note, a sign, but found only her abandoned mojito glass downstairs. The mint leaves wilted. "Did she leave anything?" he asked the bartender, who shook her head. "Left before sunrise, didn't say a word." Jaden's chest tightened, a strange ache for a woman whose name he didn't even know. They'd shared stories, pain, night, but skipped the basics. No numbers, no surnames, just a fleeting connection that felt unfinished. He lingered, hoping she'd return, but the bar held no answers. As he left Gioni Haven, the city waking around him, he carried her memory like a shadow, unaware that their paths had already diverged toward a future neither could predict. The Nairobi sunrise painted the sky in hues of coral and gold as Amara, Ndungu slipped out of the boutique hotel above Gioni Haven, her blazer rumpled, and her heart a tangle of regret and resolve. The city was waking, street hawkers setting up, matatus honking, but she felt like a shadow moving through a world that didn't see her pain. Her silent departure left no trace for the stranger who'd shared her night, his gentle presence, now a memory she needed to bury. By 6:30 a.m., she was back in her university dorm, the silence of her room amplifying the guilt that clawed at her. Her bed, neatly made, felt foreign as she sat on its edge, staring at her reflection in a small mirror. The woman looking back had puffy eyes and a crease in her brow, a stranger who'd traded her principles for a fleeting escape from betrayal. She whispered to herself, "What did you do, Amara?" The question hung unanswered as she showered, the hot water failing to wash away the weight of her choice. She dressed in a simple tracksuit, packed her law books and headed to campus, determined to anchor herself in routine. Her final semester loomed, and she couldn't afford to falter. Not after Kofi and Zuri's betrayal, not after last night. At the law library, she buried herself in case law, her pen scratching notes on constitutional amendments. But her mind drifted to the stranger's quiet voice, his story of a lost love. She shook her head, forcing focus. "He's gone," she muttered, unaware he was at that moment boarding a flight to Toronto. Jaden Okoth sat in the airport lounge, his carry-on at his feet, the memory of the nameless woman from Gioni Haven, lingering like a half-finished sketch. He'd searched the bar before leaving, asking the morning shift if she'd left anything, a name, a number, but the staff shook their heads. "She was gone by dawn," a waiter said, and Jaden nodded, the ache in his chest inexplicable for someone he'd known for hours. His flight was called and he boarded, the plane's hum drowning out his thoughts. As Nairobi shrank beneath the clouds, he leaned back, wondering why her absence felt like a loss. In Toronto, he'd start a new chapter, lead architect on a Avenue waterfront project, a chance to build something lasting. But as he closed his eyes, her face, tear-streaked, defiant, stayed with him, a puzzle he couldn't solve. Back in Nairobi, Amara's days blurred into a grind of lectures, study groups, and avoiding Kofi's calls. She blocked Zuri's number, their friendship a wound too raw to touch. One evening, she ran into Kofi at a campus cafe, his eyes pleading. "Can we talk?" he asked, but Amara's voice was steel. "I saw enough talking on my couch." She walked away, her heart racing but her head high. The encounter solidified her resolve. She'd graduate, build her career, and leave the wreckage behind. But life had other plans. 3 weeks later, a missed period sparked unease. She brushed it off, stress, she told herself, until nausea joined the equation. In her dorm's shared bathroom, she stood over a sink, 3 pregnancy tests lined up like judges. Her knees shook, each test showing 2 lines, stark and undeniable. She sank to the floor, a silent scream trapped in her throat. "Not now," she whispered, her dreams of law school and independence trembling. She hid the tests, avoiding her, roommates' curious glances, and spent the night staring at the ceiling, the stranger's ceiling closing in her mind. She didn't know his name, his home, his life, only that he was gone, and she was alone with a choice she never imagined. The next day she confided in her cousin, Jerry, who listened without judgment. "What do you want to do?" Jerry asked, and Amara's voice broke. "I don't know. I can't even tell my parents. They'll disown me." Jerry hugged her, promising support, but Amara knew the truth. Her conservative family would see this as a disgrace. She considered searching for the stranger but dismissed it. Gioni Haven's staff had no records, and she had no leads. As weeks passed, her decision crystallized. She'd face this alone, finish her degree, and carry the consequences. Her morning sickness was relentless, a secret kept under loose sweaters as she attended classes, her focus razor-sharp despite the fear gnawing at her. One night she stood on her balcony, the city's lights sprawling below, and touched her stomach, whispering, "We'll be okay." In Toronto, Jaden threw himself into his work, his designs for the waterfront project earning praise. His nights were quiet, spent sketching in a sparse apartment, the Nairobi woman a thought he couldn't shake. He told a colleague about her once over coffee, admitting, "She left without a word and I can't stop wondering why." His friend laughed it off. A one-night thing, let it go. But Jayden couldn't. The connection, brief as it was, felt like a thread left dangling, its end just out of reach. As he walked through Toronto's snowy streets, he wondered if she'd found peace, unaware that Amara was navigating a future he'd unknowingly shaped, their lives tethered by a secret neither could name. The Nairobi air was thick with the scent of rain and roasted maize as Amara Ndungu faced the consequences of her secret, her pregnancy now a quiet truth hidden beneath loose cardigans and a fierce determination to finish law school. 3 months had passed since that night at Gioni Haven, and the stranger who'd briefly held her pain was a fading memory, his face blurred by time and her refusal to dwell. Her dorm room, once a sanctuary, now felt like a confessional where guilt and resolve battled nightly. The positive pregnancy tests, tucked in a locked drawer, were a reminder of a choice she'd made in a haze of heartbreak, and now, at 8 weeks pregnant, she grappled with a future she hadn't planned. Her cousin Njeri's support was a lifeline, but Amara knew she couldn't hide forever. Her parents, devout and traditional, would see her condition as a stain on their name, and the thought of their judgment churned her stomach more than morning sickness. She confided in Njeri one evening at a quiet chai stall, her voice low. "I'm keeping the baby, but I can't tell Mum and Dad yet. They'll send me away." Njeri squeezed her hand. "You're not alone, Amara. We'll figure this out." But the weight of her secret grew heavier, and when her mother called to check on her studies, Amara's vague answers sparked suspicion. A week later, her parents arrived unannounced at her dorm, their faces stern. Her mother's eyes zeroed in on her baggy sweater, her voice sharp. "What are you hiding, Amara?" Cornered, Amara confessed, her words tumbling out. Kofi's betrayal, her moment of weakness, the pregnancy. Her mother gasped, clutching her chest, while her father's silence was a thunderclap. "You've shamed us," he said finally, his voice cold. "You can't stay here." By evening, her bags were packed, and she was sent to her grandmother, Nana Achieng, in a village outside Kisumu, a place of red earth and sprawling mango trees. Nana, a herbalist with a tongue as sharp as her machete, greeted her at the gate, her wrapper tied high. "So you've brought trouble to my door," she said, her eyes scanning Amara's slight frame. "Come inside before the neighbors start their gossip." Nana's mud-walled house was warm, filled with the scent of ugali and dried herbs, and though her welcome was gruff, her embrace was tight. Over a meal of tilapia and sukuma wiki, Amara poured out her story. The stranger, the bar, the tests, her fear of losing her dreams. Nana listened, her face unreadable, then leaned back. "You've made a mess, girl, but messes can be cleaned. This child is yours and you'll raise it with your head up." She handed Amara a mug of ginger tea, her voice softening. "But you need to find that man. Your baby deserves a father, even if he's a fool who doesn't know." Amara shook, her head, her voice small. "I don't even know his name, Nana. He's gone." Nana's eyes narrowed. "Then you carry on, but don't let shame write your story." The village became Amara's refuge, its rhythms grounding her, fetching water at dawn, tending Nana's herb garden, studying by lantern light. Her pregnancy progressed, a quiet swell beneath her dresses, and though the villagers whispered, Nana's fierce presence silenced their judgment. Amara enrolled in online law courses to stay on track, her laptop a lifeline to her ambitions. She wrote essays on property law under the shade of a baobab, her resolve hardening with each word. But the questions lingered. How would she provide for her child? How would she face the world as a single mother? One afternoon she visited the village market, her basket heavy with yams, when she overheard a woman mention Gioni Haven. Heart racing, she approached, asking if the bar kept guest records. The woman laughed. "That place? They don't even check IDs properly." Defeated, Amara returned to Nana's, the stranger's absence a void she couldn't fill. Nana, stirring a pot of stew, saw her face and said, "Stop chasing ghosts. Focus on what's coming." Amara nodded, but at night she touched her stomach, whispering to her unborn child, "I'll be enough for you." In Kisumu's quiet, she found a new strength, her fear giving way to a fierce love for the life growing inside her. She began sketching plans, not just for law school, but for a future where her child would know resilience, not shame. Nana watched, her pride silent but evident, slipping extra mangoes into Amara's plate. As the rainy season closed in, Amara's belly rounded and she stood ready to fight for her dreams, not just for herself, but for the heartbeat within her, a fire in her spirit ignited by a spark of change. 5 years had transformed Amara Ndungu from a heartbroken student into a formidable lawyer at 27. Her name whispered with respect in Nairobi's legal circles, her life now orbiting around her 5-year-old daughter, Zara, a whirlwind of wit and defiance who ruled their small apartment with a plastic tiara and unyielding questions. Born on a stormy Kisumu night, Zara arrived with a crescent-shaped birthmark on her wrist, a mark Amara vaguely recalled on the stranger from Gioni Haven, though she pushed the memory aside to focus on survival. After graduating law school through sheer grit, balancing late-night study with diaper changes under Nana Ajieng's watchful eye, Amara clawed her way up, taking on divorce cases, tenancy disputes, and even a high-profile fraud suit that landed her firm's name in the papers. Her days were a blur of courtrooms and bedtime stories, her nights spent drafting briefs while Zara slept, clutching a stuffed giraffe. Zara, with her mother's sharp tongue and Nana's knack for drama, was a force, demanding extra mango slices, debating bedtimes like a barrister, and asking about her father with a persistence that pierced Amara's heart. "Is he a pilot? Is that why he's always away?" Zara asked one morning, her braids swinging as she munched ugali. Amara, stirring tea, dodged with a smile. "He's just far, my love. Eat your breakfast." But Zara's questions grew sharper, fueled by schoolmates' taunts. At a parent-teacher meeting, Zara's teacher, Miss Wambue, shared a story. When a boy mocked Zara's missing dad, she'd said, "My mum's a lawyer who'll sue your bad manners to the moon." Amara laughed, pride swelling, but the sting lingered. Zara deserved answers she couldn't give. Nana, now a frequent visitor to their Nairobi flat, urged Amara to search again for the man. "That birthmark's no coincidence," she said, peeling potatoes. "Find him before Zara starts hunting herself." Amara sighed, her laptop open to a case file. "Nana, I tried. He's a ghost." But Zara's curiosity was relentless, her drawings now featuring a faceless daddy with a plane in the sky. One night, she found Zara whispering to her giraffe, "When Daddy comes, I'll show him my mark and ask why he got lost." The words broke Amara's resolve, and she began discreet inquiries, revisiting Gioni Haven with Nana, who grilled the manager like a detective. "A man and a woman 5 years ago, upstairs room. Check your books." The manager shrugged, citing privacy laws, leaving Amara empty-handed. Back home, she hugged Zara tightly, vowing to be enough, but the gap in her daughter's life felt like a debt unpaid. At work, Amara's star rose. She won a case against a corrupt landlord, earning a bonus and a reputation as a courtroom lioness. Her colleagues, unaware of her past, saw only her poise, not the nights she cried over Zara's questions. One afternoon at a city market, she bumped into Kofi, now a shadow of the man she'd loved, his eyes dull. "How you're doing well," he said, glancing at Zara, who clung to her hand. "Who's the father?" Amara's smile was ice. "Someone you'll never measure up to." She walked away, Zara's chatter about ice cream drowning out his fading presence, her heart lighter for closing that chapter. Zara's school became a battleground of whispers, and when a girl teased, "Your dad's probably a myth," Zara's retort, "My mum's stronger than your whole family," earned her a warning but Amara's quiet pride. She met with Miss Wambui, advocating for anti-bullying measures, her lawyer's voice firm. No child should be shamed for their family. At home, Amara crafted a routine of joy. Saturday, picnics by Uhuru Park, dance-offs to Afrobeat, Zara's laughter a balm for her sacrifices. Yet, as Zara's 5th birthday neared, Amara planned a small party inviting Nana and a few friends, but felt the weight of an absent guest. She bought a locket for Zara, engraving it with "You are my world," a promise to fill the void. Late at night, Amara studied, her desk piled with law journals, but her eyes drifted to Zara's drawings, the crescent mark a silent clue to a man she'd never find. She whispered to the dark, "I hope you're out there." living a life that deserves her. Unbeknownst to her, across oceans, a man was preparing to return, drawn by a legacy that would soon collide with the life she'd built, a spark of destiny waiting to ignite. The Nairobi skyline shimmered under a late afternoon sun as Jaden Okoth, now 30, stepped off a plane at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, his return to Kenya after 5 years in Toronto, a mix of duty and nostalgia. He'd been summoned to lead his late grandfather's architectural firm, Okoth Designs, a legacy of bold structures that defined the city's growth. The air was thick with the scent of jet fuel and blooming jacarandas, stirring memories of his last night in Nairobi, a fleeting connection at Joni Haven that still haunted him. His suitcase rolled behind him as he navigated the bustling terminal, his mind on the firm's challenges, a struggling portfolio, rival bids, and a board, expecting miracles. At the firm's sleek headquarters in Westlands, Jaden was greeted with handshakes and expectations, but his first task was a courtesy visit to the staff daycare, a pet project of his grandfather's. The daycare buzzed with children's laughter, crayons scattered across low tables, and a harried teacher, Miss Njoroge, managing the chaos. As Jaden chatted with her, a small figure darted past, chasing a rubber ball that bounced into the hallway. "Zara, come back," Miss Njoroge called, but the girl, braids flying, was already gone. Jaden followed, amused, and found her sprawled on the polished floor, the ball rolling away. "You okay, little one?" he asked, kneeling. Zara, 5 and fearless, dusted her dress and glared. "You made me fall with your big shoes." Her boldness made him chuckle, but as she stood, her sleeve slipped, revealing a crescent-shaped birthmark on her wrist. Jaden's breath caught. The mark was identical to his own, a quirk he'd always thought unique. His pulse quickened as he studied her face, her bright eyes and stubborn chin sparking a vague familiarity. "What's your name?" he asked, his voice soft. "Zara," she said, crossing her arms, "and my mum's the best lawyer ever." Jaden's smile faltered. "Who's your dad?" Zara shrugged, her voice casual. "Mum says he's abroad, but I think he's lost, like my old Teddy." The words hit like a jolt, and Jaden's mind raced to that night 5 years ago, the woman who'd vanished at dawn. "And your mum's name," he pressed, his throat tight. Zara tilted her head, suspicious. "Why do you ask so many questions?" Before she could answer, Miss Njoroge appeared, scooping Zara up. "Sorry, sir, she's a runner." Jaden nodded, dazed, as Zara was led back, muttering, "He owes me a ball now." His PA, Brian, rushed in, clipboard in hand. "Sir, the board's waiting. Your presentation's in 10. Jaden followed, but his thoughts were elsewhere, the birthmark a puzzle piece he couldn't place. In the boardroom he pitched a vision to revive the firm, sustainable designs, community projects, but his focus wavered, Zara's words echoing. After the meeting he lingered in his new office, its glass walls overlooking the city, and pulled up the firm's staff directory. His finger paused on Amarandungu, senior counsel, her profile photo showing a poised woman with sharp eyes. His chest tightened. Was she the woman from Joni Haven? He recalled her pain, her defiance, the night they'd shared without names, the birthmark, Zara's age, the timeline. It all aligned, but doubt gnawed at him. Was he grasping at shadows? He requested Amara's file, learning she was a single mother, her daughter enrolled in the daycare. The coincidence felt like fate, but Jaden hesitated, aware of the stakes. He wasn't just a man chasing a memory, he was her boss, and this could upend her life. That evening he drove through Nairobi's traffic, the city's pulse sinking, with his racing heart. At a quiet cafe he met an old friend, Malik, and shared the encounter, his voice low. "This girl, Zara, she has my birthmark. Her mum might be the woman I met years ago." Malik raised a brow. "You're saying you might have a daughter you never knew about?" Jaden nodded, the weight of it sinking in. "I need to know." "But I can't just storm in," Malik advised caution. "Talk to her mum first. If it's true, you owe them both the truth." Jaden agreed, but sleep eluded him that night, his mind replaying Zara's grin, her fearless jab about his shoes. He wondered what Amara had told her, if she'd searched for him, if she'd hate him for reappearing. By morning he resolved to meet her, Not as a CEO, but as a man seeking answers, the birthmark a thread pulling him toward a past he'd never forgotten, and a future he couldn't yet imagine. The Nairobi morning traffic hummed outside Amara Ndungu's office at Okoth Designs, where she reviewed a land dispute case, her desk piled with legal pads and coffee mugs, unaware her past was moments from resurfacing. At 27, Amara had forged a life of resilience, her career a testament to her strength, her love for Zara a flame that burned through every hardship. She prepared for a critical hearing, her focus razor-sharp, when a knock broke her concentration. Jaden. Okoth, the firm's new CEO, stood in the doorway, his tailored suit masking a quiet urgency. Amara's pen stilled as their eyes met recognition crashing over her like a wave. His face, the stranger from Gioni Haven 5 years ago, was a memory she had buried beneath years of raising Zara alone. Jaden's voice was steady. "Amara, can we talk?" Her pulse quickened, but she nodded, motioning to a chair, her lawyer's poise a fragile mask. He shut the door, the room feeling smaller as he spoke. "I met Zara in the daycare yesterday. She has a birthmark, a crescent like mine." Amara's breath hitched, her fingers tightening on her pen. She had seen Zara's mark at birth, a fleeting thought, of the stranger dismissed as chance, but now facing him the truth loomed undeniable. Jaden's gaze held hers, earnest yet pressing. "I think I might be her father." The words struck like a gavel, Amara's world tilting. She rose, pacing to the window, the city's pulse below a blur. "You don't get to walk in and claim her," she said, her voice low, threaded with years of answering Zara's questions alone. Jaden's hands lifted in peace. "I'm not claiming anything. I need to know. That night we didn't share names, but I never forgot you." Amara turned, her eyes sharp. "I was shattered that night and you were kind, but I woke up and moved on. I didn't know I was pregnant until you were gone." Her voice softened, raw. "Zara's my everything and I've been enough." Jaden nodded, his expression taut. "I'm not here to take her. If she's mine, I want to be in her life." The air was thick, their shared past a delicate thread. Amara's thoughts spun Zara's drawings of a faceless father, her schoolyard taunts, the locket etched with love. She couldn't rob Zara of knowing him, but trust was a scarce resource. "We need a DNA test," she said, her tone firm. "No guesses, no commitments." Jaden agreed, relief in his eyes. "I'll arrange it quietly." They planned a private clinic, results in days, but the wait lingered. Amara wrestled with what this meant for Zara, for the life she had built. She recalled Nana Achieng's advice, find him before Zara does, and felt fate's pull. Jaden sensed her unease, his voice gentle. "I don't want to upend her world. I want to know her if she's mine." Amara met his gaze, seeing the man who listened. "That night, not the CEO holding power. She's not just yours, even if the test proves it. She's Zara's stubborn, brilliant mine." Jaden's lips curved, a hint of wonder. "She said I walk like a robot." Amara's mouth twitched, a brief crack in her. "God." At the daycare, Zara ran to her, waving a drawing of a house with 3 figures. "This is us, Mum, and maybe someone else," she said, eyes sparkling. Amara's chest tightened, unsure how to ready her daughter for what might unfold. She took Zara home, their routine of ugali and stew, a bedtime story, anchoring her in the uncertainty. That night she called Nana, her voice unsteady. "He's back. Nana, the man from that night. He thinks Zara's his." Nana's reply was calm. "Let the truth free, Amara. Zara's strong like you." Amara hung up, gazing at Zara's sleeping form, the birthmark, a clue now blazing with possibility. At the firm, Jaden tackled his role, green-lighting designs, meeting clients, but his mind stayed on Zara's smile, Amara's wary eyes. He confided in his PA Brian, who cautioned, "Be careful, boss. She's not just staff, she's a mother." Jaden nodded, wrestling with the weight of a child. He never knew a woman he never forgot. The clinic visit loomed a step toward answers, but Amara's words rang clear. Zara was hers, shaped by years of love and fight. As Nairobi's lights glowed outside, Amara whispered to Zara's locket, "I'll protect you always," her resolve a bulwark. Against the unknown, her heart steeling for a truth that could reshape their lives. The Nairobi sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over Amara Ndungu's apartment. As she tucked Zara into bed, the the DNA test results from the private clinic sitting unopened on her kitchen counter. A silent weight that could redefine their lives. The past week had been a whirlwind since Jaden's revelation, the truth of his potential fatherhood hanging between them like a fragile thread. Amara had braced for the test, her heart torn between protecting Zara's world and granting her the father she'd always wondered about. The results confirmed Jaden as Zara's father, a fact that settled in Amara's chest with both relief and trepidation. She met Jaden at a quiet park near Uhuru Gardens. Zara, playing nearby with Nana Achieng, her laughter a stark contrast to the gravity of their talk. Jaden's eyes were earnest, but they were steady. I want to be her dad, Amara, not just on paper. Amara smiled firmly, but she stood her ground. She's mine, Jaden. You can't just step in. He nodded slowly, but he respected her choice. I'm not asking to take your place, I'm asking to share hers. The agreement came slowly, a cautious plan for Jaden to meet Zara as a friend first. No, sudden truths to jolt her. Their first outing was at a Westlands ice cream parlor, Zara's eyes wide as Jaden handed her a cone piled with chocolate syrup. You're nice, she said, licking sprinkles, but you still owe me a ball from daycare. Jaden laughed, his heart catching at her grin so like his own. Amara watched her guard softening as Zara's joy lit the room. Over weeks, Jaden became a fixture. Saturday zoo trips, sketching sessions where he taught Zara to draw houses, story times where his deep voice read her favorite books. Zara began calling him Jay, her trust growing like a seedling. One evening she showed him her birthmark, pointing to his wrist. We match, she said proudly. Is that why you're my friend? Jaden glanced at Amara, who nodded slightly, her throat tight. Yeah, kiddo, he said, it's a special mark. Amara grappled with the shift, her fear of losing Zara easing, as she saw Jaden's care not a claim, but a gift. She forgave herself for that night at Gioni Haven, seeing it now as the spark that gave her Zara her greatest strength. At work, their dynamic evolved, Amara's legal prowess, complementing Jaden's vision for Okoth Designs, their respect mutual. She won her land dispute case, earning a promotion, while Jaden's sustainable projects revived the firm's name. Their bond grew not romantic, but rooted in Zara, a partnership forged through shared purpose. Nana watched approvingly, her voice gruff. You've built a family, girl, not the one you planned, but the one you needed. Amara nodded, her eyes on Zara, who now drew houses with 3 figures labeled Mum J Me. The turning point came at a community festival in Kibera, where Okoth Designs unveiled a youth center, Jaden's design a beacon of hope. Zara insisted on attending, clutching a banner she'd made with glitter. Amara stood backstage, her heart swelling, as Jaden spoke to the crowd, crediting her legal work for securing the land. Zara tugged her hand, her voice clear. Can I say something, Mum? Amara hesitated, then nodded, lifting her onto the stage. Zara faced the crowd, her tiara askew. My mum's the best lawyer, and Jay's my dad who was lost but found us. The words silenced. The audience, Amara's eyes misting, Jaden's breath catching. The crowd cheered, Zara basking in it, her pride healing Amara's old wounds. Later, as fireworks lit the sky, Jaden knelt beside Zara. I'm here for good, kiddo. She hugged him, her arms fierce. Good, 'cause I'm keeping you. Amara met his gaze, the locket in her pocket, a symbol now shared. She'd feared this moment would fracture her, but it strengthened them. At home, Zara slept her giraffe beside her, dreaming of her father. Amara and Jaden sat on the balcony, the city's lights, a tapestry below. They spoke of Zara's future, her school plays, her dream to draw like Jaden, her fire like Amara. They agreed to co-parent Jaden, moving to a nearby flat, their lives entwined through Zara's love. Amara reflected on her journey from Kofi's betrayal to this moment, her heart full. The crescent mark, once a secret, was now a bond, a proof of destiny's quiet work. As the stars emerged, Amara smiled, her strength unyielding, Zara's family complete not by chance, but by courage, a love that would endure.